My name is Brandon, and we'll be going over the setup of the Greenstar single product liquid controller. So when you plug in your liquid controller, go ahead and pull up your apps, press the Greenstar rate controller tab, hit the implement tab, and then you're brought to this page. For your implement, go ahead and select liquid FERT tool, and then down here is where you'll create a profile. Go ahead and name your liquid controller whatever you would like to name it. So in this case, I just have it named as AgXcel liquid, so you can press your new button there. For your implement width, this will be in foot. In this case, I'm running on a 20-foot bar, but set that foot to whatever the width of your implement is. If you are using section valves, go ahead and hit section setup. In this case, I am not using section valves, so I have this set to 1, and my entire width would be 20 foot. But say if I were using 2 section valves, I would put 2 in there, and in this case, I would have 10 for one section and 10 foot for the other section. Once you have your section valve set up and your implement width correctly set up, hit your next arrow. If you are using a height switch, go ahead and press this box and press receive status. What that will do is this will share the height switch with your seed. In this case, since I'm not plugged into a planner, I'm just on a display stand, I am not going to use a height switch. So I'm going to uncheck that box, and I'm just going to use my foot pedal to turn my pump on and off. So next, hit the system tab. Your section valve type will be set to 3-wire. Your control valve type will be PWM close. Make sure you do not have it set to PWM. What will happen is if you have it set to PWM, when you turn your master switch off and whenever you put the implement up, or say you just hit your foot switch to stop the system, this pump is going to keep going. It's going to keep running the pump until you turn the Greenstar off. So make sure you have this set to PWM close, so whenever you hit your foot switch or you raise your planner to turn around, your pump will shut off when you want it to be off, and it will only be on when you're driving and you hit your foot switch. Next is your tank capacity. Go ahead and put in the size of your tank. Next is your flow meter calibration. We'll have this written down on the serial number packet on a yellow sticker that would have came with your pump system, but you can also check on this chart here to see what your flow meter calibration should be. Below that, your flow meter units, you'll want to set to gallons because our flow meters will read in pulses per gallon. You will not need to calibrate the flow meter since this flow calibration number will always be correct. You do not have to change your flow calibration number based off of the product you're using. So if there's a viscosity change, so if you're using some sort of thicker biological product versus water, you do not have to recalibrate your flow meter. Your flow return will not be checked, and your constant flow will not be checked. If you are using a pressure sensor, then you can set that up. We will do a voltage-based calibration, and you would do this at 50. And this would be your setup. Once you're done, then that would be your setup process. Typically what I like to do is, well, when you set this up, make sure you have 0 pressure in your pump system. But I like to unplug the pressure transducer, set this up, then plug it back in, and then we know for sure that the pressure transducer would read 0 when you set it up. So when I want to go back, I will hit my setup tab. And in this case, I'm going to shut it off because I'm not using it. For my PWM setup will be my next step. Your control valve calibration for a GX2 electric pump will be 9911. For a GX5 hydraulic pump, your number will be 4012. And basically what your first 2 numbers in line here will do is it will affect the speed at which your pump reacts to changes in rate. So say for my GX5 hydraulic pump, when this is at 4012, say if my pump is too slow to respond to rate, I could bring that up, say, to 5012 if I wanted to, and then my pump will respond faster. More commonly, what happens is my pump might surge, so it is responding too fast a rate, so I might drop it from 4012 to 3012 or 2012 and see if that helps, and that will help slow down the pump speed. But of course, you don't want to slow it down too much, or your pump will be too slow to respond to rate, and you might not even hit your target rate. But you also don't want your pump to be too fast, or else you're always going to be surging around your rate. Next will be your coil frequency for both the GX2 electric pump and the GX5 hydraulic pumps. This will be set at 100. Your high limit for both the GX2 and GX5 pumps will be 255. and then your low limit for the GX2 series of pumps will be 0, and then your low limit for the GX5 hydraulic series of pumps will be 60. So say with the GX5, if you can't get to a low enough rate, then you can drop that low limit down to say 30 or whatever number you think is best. For a GX2, say if you're not getting to your rate fast enough when you first take off, instead of adjusting your control valve calibration to a higher number, try raising your low limit. Instead of 0, maybe try it at 20 and see if that helps. But your low limit basically won't let your pump go below a certain rate. So you want to, or a certain percentage duty cycle on your PWM. So you want to make sure that this low limit is lower than the rate you would want to apply. And you would find that out by when you try to run the pump and your pump doesn't go to any lower rate, then you would have to lower your low limit. So once you have your settings in there set up, press next. Next, you can go to your alarms tab, and this is all preference on what you want to do. Next, go to your rates tab, and these will be your 3 rates that you have listed on top when you're actually running the system. So put in your 3 common rates that you would put in. Your minimum flow rate, you'll always want to have this set to 0. If you have it set to a different number, like in my case, I have it at 5, what will happen is even if I never do go below 5 gallon per minute, sometimes my pump still won't even go below, say, 6 gallon per minute, say if I wanted to run a rate of 5.5 gallon per minute. So you'll always want to have your minimum flow rate set at 0 because that can cause flow issues. And then your rate smoothing you'll have checked and at 10%. And that is the whole setup on the Greenstar. If you want to simulate a run, press Diagnostics, Test, and choose Nozzle Flow Check. Hit your foot pedal. You'll see your master is on. Put in a test speed and a test rate. Once you do that, you can press Start. Then you'll see your gallon per acre rate, your PSI if you have that set up, and then your gallon per minute rate. And then you can check your system, check your rows, and see if you have liquid coming out. That would be the whole setup on the Greenstar liquid controller. Feel free to call if you have questions at 877-218-1981.